Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, and now here I am with another Power Rangers video. Now here I am to review Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. So, like I've told you guys several times before, growing up I really was pretty obsessed with this movie. I mean, like I've told you several times before, it was me and my brother were obsessed with this, Toy Story, and Good Burger growing up. And just really did love watching this movie a lot growing up. And watching it now, I mean, I still do like it, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, not every fan of the show really did like this movie. And yeah, it's easy to see why. I mean, first of all, this movie is not even in connection with the show at all. I mean, yeah, in the show, I mean, they just, it's as if this movie never happened because, yeah, in the show, they basically, go through the same concept that they went through in this movie, but it was like this movie never happened, and this movie is just this movie just, takes place in a completely different universe from the show. And plus, there have been some changes to this movie from the show. There's, the Ranger suits are a lot more armor and such, they're a lot more glossy and stuff. And plus you also have the power coins actually on the chest of the Rangers uniforms in this movie, when the coins aren't actually on their chest in the show, but they do them also on posters and shirts and toys and stuff. Yeah, they had their power coins on their chest in this movie. And yeah, of course, the command center in this movie, it also has a different look to it, as do the Zordon and Alpha. And yeah, there's some other changes to this too. Have of course Rita and Lord Zed are also in this movie, and they also have Goldar with them. But in this movie, they also have some kind of pig monster that's also one of their minions that was never in the show at all. So yeah, there's that. And so yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that really is not really from the show, and yeah, some stuff has really changed from the show. But as its own thing, I mean, I guess it is a decent film. Yeah, not the greatest movie in the world, but I mean, I still can watch it just fine, I guess. So yeah, in this movie you basically have just about, yeah, it still contains the same cast from the show. You still have all the same actors and actresses as the Six Rangers. I mean, yeah, this of course is during the time where Rocky, Adam, and Aisha are part of the team. So yeah, still has Tommy, Kimberly, Billy, Rocky, Adam, and Aisha in this movie. Yeah, and they're of course all played by the same people that are played them in the show: Jason David Frank, Steve Cardenas, Amy Jo Johnson, David Yost, Johnny Young Bosch, and Karen Ashley. And of course, also Jason Nervy and Paul Schrager also are still Bulk and Skull in this movie. So yeah, still has the cast from the show, and so yeah, there's that. And plus, also well, as I'm still talking about the subject, for those of you who don't know, the original plan for this movie was for the Rangers suits to not actually have the visors or the mouthpieces on the helmets in this movie. And yeah, there's even a photo online that shows how that would have looked, and yeah, it looks pretty bad. The Rangers' identities would not have even been secret. You could have seen straight through them. Yeah, it is pretty bad. And also, they gave this movie a new version of the theme song for the show, and I actually like the way the theme song does sound for this movie. I'll put the movie version of the theme song in the description for those of you who want to listen to it. It is a pretty good theme song. So yeah, and yeah, this movie also does have a pretty good soundtrack also. I mean, it has a lot of really good songs in this movie. There's Higher Ground by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, there's Free Ride by Dan Hartman, there's Are You Ready by Devo, has Dreams by Van Halen. So yeah, it does have a pretty good soundtrack to it. Yeah. And another major criticism this movie gets is like the really bad CGI on the Zords when get the Zords out for battle. And yeah, the CG for the Zords, it is pretty hilariously like kind of. I was like, yeah, it is like pretty choppy to say the least. So yeah, yeah. So yeah, I guess this is just kind of a movie that people either like or don't like, whether you're a fan of the show or not. For me, I do enjoy it, I guess, even though like it does have a lot of problems to it, as far as like the like not no connection with the show and like all the changes and stuff. So yeah, it has the problems, but I can still like watch it just fine. And and yeah, I still like it is. It's like enjoyable for me. So I would probably give this movie, I don't know, probably 2.75 stars out of 4, I guess, because I mean, yeah, while I do enjoy it, like it definitely is like flawed, so yeah, so I would probably just like give it like under 3 stars probably, but I still do enjoy this movie. So, yeah, I want to just like get this all into one video, so yeah, I'll just get right into the review. So the movie opens up with kind of just like a Star Wars kind of title crawl. Just explain like the concept of like how the Rangers really came in. It just explained like how Zordon on an Alpha actually like summoned the Power Rangers and stuff, and how it still continues to the day. And like the Rangers, along with Bulk and Skull, are like in some kind of skydiving competition or something. And so then like the Rangers all jump out of the plane while like Higher Ground by the Red Hot Chili Peppers is playing, and they're just like falling down and just flying in the sky. And then they eventually open up their parachutes, and then they land in the targeting zone to make their landings and stuff. And took Bulk and Skull kind of like longer to jump out, and then they eventually did. But they actually ended up like landing in the middle of a construction site, right? And then the construction workers eventually discover like a, a chamber like in the ground, and then they ended up opening the chamber, and there was just a big purple egg that they discovered. And one of the workers tried to touch the egg, but then it just like had an electric zap or something, and then just blasted the worker back. And then Zordon Alpha then summoned the Rangers to the command center. And then Zordon explained to the Rangers like how the planet is actually in danger, because there was like 6,000 years ago there was a morphological being named Ivan Ooze, and was trying to rule the world. Then he was also constructing his like ectomorphican titans, which were machines that were capable of enslaving the universe. And Zoran explained to the Rangers that Ivan Ooze had actually been lured into a chamber and buried deep underground, and had been uncovered, and that was what that egg was. And so Zordon just told the Rangers that they have to return it before Ivan was be released. And then at the construction site, the egg was under watch by 2 like cops, and then Lord Zed, Rita, Goldar, and then that pig monster arrived. And then Lord Zed ended up just knocking out the 2 guards, and then Lord Zed ended up opening the egg, and then it showed like inside the egg was just like a bunch of like purple goo, and then something ended up emerging from the egg, and that of course was Ivan Ooze. And then Lord Zed was just telling Ivan that he wanted him to destroy Zordon to repay him, so that his evil would reign supreme. And Ivan just told Zed that he would make it seem as if Zordon never existed. And then as Lord Zed, Rita, Goldar, and the pig left, Ivan could smell teenagers approaching. And then the Rangers then arrived in the construction site. And then Ivan posed as one of the cops. And then the Rangers asked the alleged cop if they had found a morphological being around, and then it was then Ivan that then exposed himself to the Rangers. And then Ivan then summoned like his own kind of team to do his fighting for him before then he left. And then the Rangers ended up then fighting Ivan's army. But then eventually just they got the Rangers cornered, and then the Rangers then morphed, and then the morphing was actually in a different order than it was in the show. So yeah, but then after the Rangers morphed, then and the pack was just like gone, but then they spotted them running off, and then they gave chase to them, and Ivan eventually arrived at the power chamber, and then he just ended up like blasting Alpha, and then he eventually just ended up destroying the command center. And then it also ended up like attacking Zordon in the process also. And then the Rangers were just trying to find Ivan's army. And then they eventually ended up locating them, and then they continued to fight them off and just destroy them one by one by just making them splatter. Yeah. Then eventually they ended up defeating them all, and they also, during the fight, they ended up pulling out some new weapons that weren't ever in the show at all. Yeah. And then eventually just their powers just ended up like surging out on them, and then they demorphed, and then they couldn't make contact with the command center at all. And so they went back to the command center, and I'm not sure if they actually got there on foot. I don't know how they could really do that, really, but whatever. And then they saw that the command center had just ended up being just a wreck. And then they saw Zordon he was outside of his time warp and dying. And Zordon was just telling the Rangers that really there's no way to fix it, and the power's destroyed and Ivanus is won. And then Alpha then just ended up telling the Rangers that there may be a way to save Zordon by getting a power that's on the planet Phaedos. But Alpha told the Rangers that there's not much time to get it, and that he would have enough power to get the Rangers there, but not enough to get them back. And so then Alpha ended up teleporting the Rangers to Phaedos, and then Zed and Rita saw the Rangers teleporting there, and so they ended up just questioning Ivan, and then Ivan just then ended up just putting himself in charge over Rita and Zed. And then they tried to attack Ivan with their magic, but the attack was just useless, and then Ivan trapped Rita and Zed in a snow globe, and then he basically just forced Goldar and the pig to work for him. And then Ivan then just like spit out a large ooze lookie. And then it just ended up like forming some tangas, which if you've seen the third season of the show, you know what the tangas are, basically just some giant bird monsters. Yeah. And then Ivan sent them to Phaedos to destroy the Rangers. And the Rangers eventually arrived on Phaedos, and as they were searching for the power, it showed that there was a mysterious cloaked figure watching them. And then Ivan had a plan on how to dig up his Morphicons by recruiting the parents of Angel Grove and turning them into zombies. Zombies with the use of his ooze. And then eventually the Tengas arrived on Phaedos and fought with the Rangers, but then that cloaked figure then showed up again, and then it turned out it was another woman, and then she helped the Rangers fight off the Tengas, and it turned out then that she revealed herself as Dulcia, and she was actually a master warrior of Phaedos, and she actually knew who Zordon was, and the Rangers told her what happened to Zordon and that he was attacked by Ivanus, and then she knew like how much in danger Earth was really in, so she took them, led the Rangers to a area where she would call on their sacred animals and Jedi for help. And then Ivan then just like posed as a park attraction figure for kids, and then he just gave them all some ooze that they could gave kids ooze, and they could show to their parents and stuff. And then eventually, like a friend of the Rangers in this movie, but not in the show, Fred, got some, and then his dad ended up finding the jar on her, and then he just took out the ooze, and then apparently like there was some like zap or something that ended up just going into his brain and putting him under mind control. And then it showed like a bunch of other parents were under control also. And then Dulcie on Phaedos ended up awaking each of the Rangers' spirits, and also like then the Rangers were just then put into like colored ninja suits, and they each had their own sacred animal. Like Aisha had a bear, Billy was the wolf, Rocky an ape, Kimberly the crane, Adam the frog. Yeah, I'm a frog. And then Tommy was a falcon. And then she just told the Rangers that they need to find the power on their own inside the monolith where the power was kept. And so then the Rangers then journeyed through like the jungle on Phaedos over to the monolith. And then Fred then eventually saw like all the parents working in the construction site to dig up Ivan's Morphicons, including his dad. And then he eventually discovered what Ivan's plans were once they were dug up, and that Ivan would rule the universe. And then the Rangers like got into like some were like met with some other monsters on Phaedos. Like they walked through a graveyard and they saw like there was this skeleton of a monster or something that came alive and tried to ambush the Rangers, but Tommy ended up destroying it after he pulled the bone out from where it was holding the head on and stuff, and it was destroyed. Yeah. And then eventually, after the Morphicons were fully dug, Ivan then just decided to send all the parents to the construction site to leap to their doom, and then the Morphicons were then powered up with the ooze. And then the Rangers eventually arrived at the monolith, but they were also confronted by the four Guardians, which were like some kind of rock monsters in the wall of the monolith. Yeah, and then they battled with the four of them, and then they just defeated them all one by one. So then eventually, then the wall opened up, and then it was the sacred animal powers, and then the Rangers ended up of getting the power, and then they teleported back to Earth, and then on Earth it was shown that Ivan's Morphicons were just unleashed on Angel Grove. Then the Rangers arrived back on Earth, and then Ivan actually saw them teleporting down. And then the Rangers saw the two Morphicons and then summoned their Ninja Zords to stop them. And then Fred eventually then told all the other kids what the situation was with their parents, and then all the kids took a monorail to the construction site to save their parents. And then, yeah, the Rangers did battle with the Morphicons. They ended up destroying one. And then they had the other one cornered, but then Ivan was just so angry that the Rangers destroyed one of the Morphicons that he just emerged himself into the other one. And then, yeah, then he ended up like stepping on the monorail track and destroying a part of it. And then the Rangers ended up powering up their Megazord and forming it, but Tommy ended up first went to save the monorail, so the other Rangers did battle with Ivan for the time being. And then as the monorail was starting to approach that broken part of the track, Tommy then placed the Falcon Zord like right in the broken area of the track, and which let the monorail, ended up pass by with over Tommy's Falcon Zord. Yeah. And then Tommy eventually then emerged the Falcon Zord into the Megazord. Yeah. And then they lured Ivan into space, and then the parents arrived at the construction site, as the kids did also. And then Fred had a plan on how they could get their parents to stop, and so he had Bulk Skull go down in the ditch with him, and while the other kids tried to stop the parents. And then Billy had an idea on how to get rid of Ivan for good and just lure him into Ryan's comet, which was passing by in the same time. And so, then the kids were trying to just push their parents back, but it wasn't working. And then Fred ended up then spraying the parents with water in order to back them up. And then Rangers eventually lured Ivan into the path of Ryan's comet, and then Ivan just like struck the Megazord really hard and just had held on to that. And then apparently like they had an emergency button to knee Ivan right in the nuts, which they did to break Ivan's grip, and then Ivan ended up being struck by Ryan's comet and ended up being destroyed, and then that ended up breaking the spell on the parents, and so they were freed, and so then the parents were reunited with their kids, including Fred with his dad. Then the Rangers then teleported back to the command center, and then they saw that Zordon had allegedly died, and yeah, but then Tommy remembered that, well, he reminded the Rangers that with the great power anything is possible, and so then the Rangers then used their great power to repair the command center and also like revive Zordon, and then Zordon ended up being restored into his time warp. Yeah. And then there was a celebration, and Fred was just talking with the Rangers, saying how he helped stop Ivan, but the Power Rangers did most of the work. And then the Rangers were just telling Fred that he may be able to be a Ranger himself one of these days. And then it just ended with everybody watching fireworks while Dreams by Van Halen was playing. Yeah. And then there was a mid-credit scene where apparently, like, Goldar tried taking over Zed's throne, but then it turned out that Rita and Zed ended up being freed from the snow globe, and then, they just looked at Goldar and the pig, like, not pleased at all, and Goldar and the pig just looked at each other and went, uh-oh, and that's how it ended. So, yeah, like I said, 2.75 stars out of 4. Like, I do enjoy the movie, but like I've said before, I understand why people really, not everybody that was fans of the show really would enjoy it because of all the change and just how it's not connected with the show and just all that. So yeah, it's really not for everybody, but yeah, I've been watching it since I was a kid, and I do like enjoy it all right enough. So yeah, all right, so. I guess that's all I really have to say. So, yeah, that does it for my review of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. Hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I'll probably make another Power Rangers related video before I review the Turbo movie also. So, yeah, I'll do another, like, Power Rangers related video next, and then after that I'll then review the Turbo movie. So, yeah, that'll be coming up, so stay tuned for that coming up. So, alright, so I guess that does it for this video, for my review of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. So yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, like I said down there, like the movie version of the theme song will be in the description, and yeah, like I was talking about earlier about the no visor or mouthpiece for the helmets with the original plan for the movie. I'll put a picture of that in the description. Also, if you want to really see like how bad it really looks, because it does look like pretty ridiculous. So yeah, those will be down there for you to see and listen to if you want. So, alright, but anyway, alright, so that does it for my review of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.